Alright, so in here I have a 0 to 5 seconds, and just a quick reminder, the keep the guard on. See, click on it, copy, bam, there you go. Oops, did too many. 3, 4, 5. Oh, you know why? Because I had it in the command. That's okay. You know, all I have to do is hold down delete, hit those guys. Yep, delete it, delete. Yep, and, yep, and then hold down open. I can open this guy, and let's say I want this to be 6 seconds. So make sure time 6/6 is what's in here. Hit time 6/6. Hit close and set, and time is 6s. Then once I'm done with that and I'm happy, I take off the guard, and as you'll see down here, when you select, let's say macro 4, it'll type in all your commands for you. I think if you pay attention in there, I think it even corrects the back button. You could, and you can edit every command in here. Yeah, there's the backspace, which is fine. Doesn't matter. If I had more time, you get the idea. You can go in here and you can get rid of the backspace and perfect it. Um, if I really wanted to, I can go in here. For example, I'd go in here by hitting, holding down delete, selecting it, and yeah. And you'll notice now that was on number 2. He'll hold, what was it, macro open, macro 3. You notice it didn't backspace that time. And you could go through and do all that just for this training purpose. I'm not going to worry about it. Another thing, since we're rolling into effects, we want these guys to persist on override, because the effects are going to start overriding certain functions. Like, we're going to get into like some that mess with colors and beam positions. Uh, and when I want to turn off those, like going crazy spinning stuff, I want it to go right back to the position I left it off. So what I do is I put on persistent override, and how I do that is I select one of these guys. You don't need to do it on the release guys; it doesn't matter. Hold down open, and then select the scene where it opens up the grid for it. The grid, and then hit options, and then there's your button persist on override. And then you hit close and close, and then you do it, on these guys. I'll just do it really quick as an example. Persist on override, close, close, open, persist on override, close, close. And if you want this just to be a standard across the board thing, it may vary per scene, but you can always hit your setup button on your controller and then go to preferences, and then on scenes you can just say, hey, I want everything to be persist on override, and then close it out. So that way, that's your default. I'm going to leave it on here for now, just because that's typically my setup. And then when you don't want to have that, you can just remove it. So now let's move on to effects. Now let's select like let's do straight, just something general. Now let's say I want these guys to strobe out. In fact, let's go to blind. I think blind's more fun when you're doing the strobe effect. This is how I do it. There's different ways, and it also depends on the fixture. I'd like to do it through just by changing the intensity and not actually using the strobe feature. The reason is because some fixtures don't have that strobe ability. For instance, if I open up my groups, these guys, if I click the intensity button, and it does have a strobe option, so if I turn the wheel, it does it. But I mean, like, some of the fixtures don't handle strobes as neatly. For example, let's see, that's a decent strobe. I mean, you could do it this way if you wanted to. That's absolutely fine. I usually use intensity. Different ways of handling the problem. The reason why I do it, like I said, not like for instance, if I have a bunch of RGB fixtures and they only are 3 channels and I don't have a strobe option, I will actually use intensities instead. Anyway, so how we would do this is that we would select, let's say, all of our fixtures, and we want them all to like go crazy and strobe out, right? So I will open up the effects window and double click on effect, and I will go on intensity, and I want it to be a sine. Now you really won't get this unless you read the manual about it. Go to help and go to your effects, and yeah, basic effects types. Read this if you really want to get good at your effects. Real quick though, but the cyan is like this little wave over here. There's tangent. Step is really good. Step would be great for strobe as well. Mark on, mark off. And what's really fun, you can fan it out as well. That's what's great about that fan button. Let's see. Let's go take it down to 0 beats per minute. No, let's do 1 beat per minute. Let's see. Let's do, what was it, step? Yeah, we wanted to try our step. Let's try that out. And let's see if that does it. It may not want to. If you see, you can rotate these things by effect size. So as you saw in there with the effects, I can rotate. Let's see, where's the effects at? Effects types and rate. So if I move the effect size, think of it as increasing. Yeah, 60 clicks per minute or beats per minute. It's increasing it. There's the percentage on the graph, and then there's the length offset, and how does that offset it from everything else. That's really quick. I would recommend going through the manual really quickly, and if you want to get good at it, and mess around with it. For some reason, it's not messing. It's not happy about. It might have been because I was messing with. It might have been because I was messing with one of the intensity features already. Step. It's not flashing like I want it to. There it goes. 900 beats per minute. Let's try the sign. Sign usually works really well. But I want, oh, I see what's going on. So you want this to be at the effect size, you want it to be at 100%. So you want it to go all the way on and all the way off. So yeah, there's effect size, for example. Now let's try the step. I bet the step would work great. Yep. Now we want it to speed up, so I will turn the jog wheel of effects rate up, which is this guy if you're using this. Okay, so now they're all flashing on and off at the same time. This is when our lovely fan button comes into place. We want the offset to be different, and we want the effects length to be different. We just want it all to be random. Let's say that. So I'll turn those wheels, and you'll see it's calculating it all differently. And I'll even turn around the effects length. It's still a little funny. And then, in fact, you know, I like to even like screw around with the effects rate. You know, and this takes. You know, it takes some time to. It depends on your fixtures. You'll have to go through and just have fun with it and make it look the way you want it to look. Like I said, it really will depend on your fixtures and what you're trying to do. You know, let's set that to 0 because we want it to be instantaneous. But you know, hopefully you're getting the idea. Once you're happy with it, I like to go into a fader. I'll pick fader 9. I like to start right before my fader list, and I just hit record Q, enter, and then clear it out, and then I'll call it strobe. Let's see, and I think, how do I usually do this? Highest takes priority? Yeah. Highest takes priority is how I usually set it up. Because what's really fun is the bump button. What the bump button does is that when I click on that guy, you can kind of see at the bottom corner, that means go full. It's like doing this really quickly. Yeah, basically, it's like what you're doing. But what's really fun is I can slowly turn it up, and it comes in stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. Another fun one I like to use for the fader is a circle effect on all these guys. So close that out. Select all my fixtures, and I'm going to double click this because there's actually a circle already built in. Except it's huge. So what I do is I bring it down. I think it's to like, I'll use my jog wheel, my second one in. I'll change it down to, I want it to be way smaller than that, you know. Something decent though. And if you're using Hog 3, you'll have to change one of these to 90 degrees. long story short, for the offset size, let's see, yeah, it's kind of, yeah. The reason is because the Hog 3 just sets 0 to 0. 90 is a little smoother when it's set to 0 and 90. Or, yeah, when it's basically 90 degrees off, it looks funky. I think it looks, if you're using the Hog 3, it'll be like that, I think. But 90, yeah, it's just like a straight line, but set it to 90. Yeah, then it's a circle. Okay. And then, like I said, set these guys to 0. Set 0. And then you can use the fan button for the offset and effects link. And the effect size, give it a little nudge so everything's a little different. And you get this, the more you mess with it, holding fan down, and you can get some really cool effects. Slow down the effects rate a little bit. You can even change it per fixture, so some fixtures are going faster than others. I'm sure having this all up is really not helping either. There we go. So yeah, you see a little bit better on this position what's going on. It doesn't look like the other guys are too happy with it, but hopefully you're getting the idea. Like I said, play with it until you get happy with it. Then click a fader, hit record, Q, and we'll call it circles. Hit clear. Bam, everything goes back to where it was. Now, this one, if you remember, this is where I like to throw in, where I like to open up my options in my cue list. Go back to the master, and then I change this to an intensity position beam crossfade. And then that way, there it goes. And I start a little bit slowly. Now you get the idea of effects. What I recommend doing is going in here, over to my groups, select them all, double tap effects. You just have fun with all these. Try these out. Find some that you like. Find some of them you won't like. There's some really cool green step effects that you can do. In fact, that looks I can use the fan button, and you can even use the fan button to start in the center. That helps too, so that way if you don't want it to be a line, there's some other ideas as well to make it more random. You can even use like rainbow effects. Yeah, there's a rainbow in here as well. Like I said, these will only really work on fan that out a little better. Like I said, these will only work on CMY mixing or RGB mixing colored fixtures, but you get the idea. You can do this with intensities. You can go all day long with these effects. So have fun with it. Use the fan button, spread them out. Go, just screw around with it, and then once you get one that you like, you can go in here and you can hit save. Now, keep in mind there's some of them, and I'll get into that. You can actually use the scene button. I'll do like a 3-second video since I'm running out of time on this, where I like to use certain scene fixtures. That's, like I said, I'm showing you how I do this.